The Imperial flagship Eternal Dominance glided silently through the void, its massive form casting a shadow over the stars themselves. Commander Vazrik stood on the observation deck, all four of his eyes fixed on the small blue planet displayed on the holographic projection. His chitinous exoskeleton clicked softly as he shifted his weight, mandibles twitching with anticipation. "Is this truly the source of the signals, Science Officer Nilara?" he asked, voice resonating from his thoracic chamber. Nilara's skin rippled with blue bioluminescent patterns, the Xilarian equivalent of nodding. "Confirmed, Commander. The transmissions we intercepted originated from this world. The natives call it Earth. For 12,000 years, the Xilarian Empire had ruled the Andromeda Galaxy. Over 300 species have been cataloged, studied, and brought under Imperial control. Some joined willingly, recognizing the benefits of Xilarian protection and technology. Others resisted and were subjugated, but all eventually accepted their place in the grand cosmic hierarchy. Yet somehow, this insignificant planet in an unremarkable solar system had escaped notice. Until now. Preliminary assessment, Vazrik demanded. Nilara's patterns shifted to a cautious yellow. The species calls themselves humans. Bipedal mammals, carbon-based, average lifespan of less than a century. Their technological development is fragmented and inconsistent. They've achieved rudimentary space travel, but haven't expanded beyond their own system. Threat assessment. Minimal, Commander. Their weapons are primitive, mostly chemical projectiles and crude atomic devices. Their defensive capabilities are negligible compared to Imperial standards. Vazrik chittered thoughtfully. Yet they broadcast their position to the cosmos without concern. Either foolish or, he paused, or confident. Confidence would be misplaced, Nilara responded. Our smallest battlecruiser could neutralize their entire military infrastructure in less than one rotation. Then perhaps it is ignorance. They may not know what lurks in the darkness between stars. Vazrik's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Prepare a diplomatic envoy. Standard first contact protocols. I will lead personally. Is that necessary, Commander? The automated subjugation process would be more efficient for a species of this development level. Vazrik's outer eyes narrowed. Something about these humans troubles me, Nilara. They developed unevenly. Look here. He manipulated the hologram, zooming in on Earth's surface. They've split the atom but still burn fossil fuels. They've mapped their own genome but still die from simple bacterial infections. They've visited their moon but haven't colonized it. Inefficient development paths are common among pre-empire species, Nilara pointed out. Yes, but most follow predictable patterns. These humans are erratic. Vazrik expanded the hologram further, revealing cities, oceans, deserts, and look at the environmental range they inhabit. Frozen wastelands to scorching deserts. They adapt where most species would evolve specialized forms or perish. Nilara's bioluminescence pulsed with reluctant agreement. As you wish, Commander. The diplomatic shuttle will be ready in 6 hours. The human delegation waited in the large conference room of the International Space Station, hastily converted for this historic meeting. Dr. Elena Vasquez, head of Earth's Unified Space Agency, checked her tablet one more time. They're docking now, she announced to the assembled group of scientists, military personnel, and government officials. General Marcus Chen nodded grimly. And we still know almost nothing about them. Perfect. We know they haven't vaporized us yet, Elena replied dryly. I'm taking that as a positive sign. The airlock hissed open, and the humans got their first look at the Xilarians. Commander Vazrik entered first, his towering 3-meter frame forcing him to duck under the doorway. Behind him came 4 other Xilarians of varying sizes and coloration. Elena stepped forward. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to Earth. I am Dr. Elena Vasquez, representing the United Earth Space Agency. Vazrik studied her with all 4 eyes, mandibles working slightly as his translation device processed her words. I am Commander Vazrik of the Eternal Dominance, representing the Xilarian Empire, sovereign rulers of the Andromeda Galaxy. Elena maintained her composure despite the implications of his title. We're honored by your presence, Commander. We have prepared accommodations and— That won't be necessary, Vazrik interrupted. This is not a social visit. I am here to officially inform your species of your discovery by the Empire and initiate the standard integration process. General Chen stepped forward. Integration. Your species will be cataloged, assessed, and assigned an appropriate role within the Imperial structure. Vazrik explained matter-of-factly. Your technological, biological, and cultural attributes will determine your value to the Empire. Elena and Chen exchanged glances. With respect, Commander, Elena said carefully, Earth is a sovereign planet with nearly 200 independent nations. We don't integrate into external power structures without extensive discussion and consent. Vazrik's bioluminescence flashed with what might have been confusion or amusement. Perhaps I was unclear. Integration is not optional. The Empire has ruled this galaxy for 12 millennia. 317 species exist harmoniously under our governance. And those who refused integration? General Chen asked, though he suspected the answer. There are no species that have refused integration, Vazrik stated. The benefits of imperial protection and technology are self-evident. Elena maintained her diplomatic tone. We appreciate your offer, Commander. However, our protocols require us to consult with Earth's governing bodies before making any commitments. Perhaps we could arrange cultural exchanges first, to better understand each other. Vazrik's outer eyes narrowed slightly. This response is unexpected. Your species' technological development clearly indicates you would benefit from Imperial guidance. Your primitive energy systems alone cause irreparable damage to your biosphere. We're aware of our challenges, Elena replied. But there are challenges to solve. An admirable but inefficient approach, Vazrik said. The Empire could solve your energy needs within a single rotation of your planet. General Chen crossed his arms. At what cost? Cost. Vazrik's mandibles clicked rapidly. You misunderstand. The Empire does not engage in primitive exchange economics. You would be assigned duties based on your species' capabilities. In return, you receive the collective benefits of Imperial membership. That sounds suspiciously like colonization to me, Chen said bluntly. Vazrik's bioluminescence flashed red briefly. Your understanding is limited by your isolated development. The Empire is not a colonizing force. It is the natural order of galactic civilization. Elena intervened before tensions escalated further. Commander, we welcome the opportunity to learn about the broader galaxy. But humanity has its own path. We'd prefer to engage as equals through trade and cultural exchange. Equals. For the first time, Vazrik seemed genuinely surprised. Your species has barely left its cradle world. You still wage war against yourselves. You haven't mastered basic gravitational manipulation or faster-than-light travel. As if on cue, the young scientist's tablet chimed loudly. She checked it and whispered urgently to Elena, who couldn't hide her momentary excitement. Actually, Commander, Elena said, regarding FTL travel, perhaps you'd be interested in observing one of our research facilities. The Nevada desert stretched endlessly under the afternoon sun. Commander Vazrik and his entourage, accompanied by Elena and General Chen, stood on an observation platform overlooking a massive circular facility. This is Project Horizon, Elena explained, our experimental FTL research center. Vazrik studied the facility with evident skepticism. Your species is at least 3 centuries from achieving viable faster-than-light travel based on your current technological trajectory. Dr. James Wong, the project lead, smiled slightly. We've found some shortcuts. At his signal, the circular ring in the center of the facility began to hum with increasing intensity. Energy crackled along conduits, and the air above the ring shimmered like a heat mirage. Science Officer Nilara's bioluminescence pulsed with alarm. They're generating a Klein-Gordon field, but that's impossible without quantum stabilizers. The shimmer intensified, forming a perfectly circular disk of what appeared to be liquid darkness. Wong checked his instruments. Klein-Gordon field stable at 97%. Micro-wormhole established. Vazrik's mandibles clicked rapidly. This technology is beyond your development level. You cannot have discovered Klein-Gordon field mechanics independently. Elena raised an eyebrow. And yet, here we are. We found that traditional approaches to FTL were inefficient, Wong explained. Instead of trying to exceed light speed, we focused on space-time manipulation. A dangerous approach without proper safeguards, Nilara interjected. The Empire lost an entire colony world to unstable wormhole technology in our early development. We've had our setbacks too, Wong admitted. But humans are remarkably persistent when told something is impossible. Vazrik watched as the wormhole maintained stability for precisely 3 minutes before the scientists deliberately closed it down. His outer eyes narrowed as he reassessed everything he thought he knew about humans. Your species continues to surprise me, Dr. Vasquez, he said finally. This technology alone would place you at Class 3 development, not the Class 5 our preliminary scans indicated. We've found classification systems rarely capture the full picture, Elena replied diplomatically. Back aboard the Eternal Dominance, Vazrik reviewed the data collected during their Earth visit. His private chamber was dimly lit, illuminated primarily by his own bioluminescence and the holographic displays. Their development is utterly chaotic, Nilara observed. Advanced quantum physics alongside combustion engines, sophisticated genetic engineering but primitive medical practices. It's not just technological inconsistency, Vazrik said. Did you observe their social structures? They maintain thousands of distinct cultural groups despite global communication. Most species naturally converge toward cultural uniformity with such connectivity. Perhaps it indicates a fundamental lack of cohesion, a weakness we could exploit if integration becomes complicated. Vazrik chittered thoughtfully. I'm not certain. They seem to derive strength from this diversity, multiple approaches to the same problems. When one fails, another succeeds. He brought up biological scans of the humans they'd encountered. And their biology concerns me. Look at their stress responses. Their bodies release chemicals that actually enhance performance under threat. Most species experience debilitating effects from similar compounds. A short-term advantage at best, Nilara dismissed. Such responses would cause cumulative damage. Yet they've evolved mechanisms to mitigate that damage, Vazrik countered. And consider their sleep cycle. They voluntarily enter an unconscious state for a third of their day, making them vulnerable. Yet this apparently enhances their cognitive function. Nilara's bioluminescence pulsed with irritation. Commander, with respect, you seem unduly concerned about a primitive species. Their unusual characteristics do not offset our overwhelming technological and numerical superiority. Perhaps, Vazrik acknowledged. But the Empire has not encountered a truly novel threat in 5,000 years. We must not allow complacency to blind us. He closed the holographic displays with a gesture. Set course for the Imperial capital. The Council must be informed personally. These humans warrant special attention. As the massive starship accelerated away from Earth, Vazrik found himself unusually troubled. In 12,000 years of Imperial history, no species had ever rejected integration outright. No species had developed so unevenly, so unpredictably. The humans didn't fit any model the Empire had established. And things that didn't fit models were dangerous. What worried Commander Vazrik most wasn't the humans' technology, which was indeed primitive by Imperial standards. It was their potential, their adaptability, their apparent comfort with chaos. And as the Earth receded to a tiny blue dot against the vastness of space, Vazrik couldn't shake the feeling that the Xelarian Empire had just awakened something it might not be prepared to handle. The Imperial Council chamber was a marvel of Xelarian architecture, a vast dome of living crystal that shifted colors based on the collective emotional state of its occupants. Today, it pulsed with anxious amber as Commander Vazrik concluded his report on humanity. And so, esteemed counselors, I recommend classifying these humans as a Category 1 emerging civilization, Vazrik stated, his bioluminescence projecting formal respect. High Counselor Thraz's exoskeleton creaked as he leaned forward, his aged mandibles clicking slowly. Category 1. You suggest we treat a pre-interstellar species as an existential threat. I do, High Counselor. Based on what? A crude wormhole experiment. Biological resilience. Thraz's bioluminescence flashed dismissively. The Empire has incorporated species with far more advanced capabilities without incident. Military Counselor Drikas chittered in agreement. My scouts report their defensive capabilities are negligible. 1 battalion could secure their planet in a single rotation. Vazrik's outer eyes narrowed slightly. With respect, counselors, you misunderstand the nature of the human threat. It is not their current capabilities that concern me, but their potential. He gestured, activating a holographic display of Earth. In less than 300 years, they've progressed from primitive steam engines to rudimentary space travel and quantum physics. Their technological development is not linear but exponential. Science Counselor Meller's skin rippled with thoughtful blue patterns. Commander Vazrik's concerns have merit. Our predictive models struggle with human development trajectories. They appear to accelerate in response to challenges rather than collapsing. Most concerning, Vazrik continued, is their response to our integration overture. No species has ever outright rejected imperial authority. They show no appropriate deference to a clearly superior civilization. High Counselor Thraz's mandibles clicked rapidly, the Xilarian equivalent of a dismissive snort. Primitive species often display irrational resistance initially. Standard intimidation protocols would resolve this quickly. I'm not convinced standard protocols apply here, Vazrik said carefully. These humans respond to threats in unpredictable ways. Military Counselor Drikas rose to her full height, her exoskeleton clicking as battle plates shifted into an aggressive posture. Then perhaps a practical demonstration is in order. I propose a show of force, not an attack, but a clear display of imperial might. The crystal dome pulsed with agreeing blues and greens from most counselors. Very well, High Counselor Thraz decided. We will deploy the 7th Fleet to their system. A standard intimidation formation should suffice to bring them to compliance. Only Science Counselor Meller's skin still pulsed with cautionary amber. General Chen burst into Elena Vasquez's office without knocking, his face grim. They're back, he said simply. Elena looked up from her tablet, instantly alert. The Xilarians? How many? Not just a diplomatic envoy this time. 57 vessels just appeared at the edge of our solar system. Most of them appear to be warships based on their configuration. Elena swore under her breath. They're moving faster than we expected. Get me the Security Council and activate Protocol Jericho. Within the hour, the United Earth Security Council had convened virtually. The holographic projections of world leaders and military commanders filled Elena's crisis room. The Xilarian fleet is maintaining position just beyond Mars orbit, Elena reported. They've made no direct communication yet, but their formation is clearly martial in nature, a standard intimidation tactic. What are our options? Asked the Chinese premier. General Chen stepped forward. Our conventional forces are no match for their technology. However, Project Aegis is operational, though untested in actual combat scenarios. And the Horizon Network? Asked the American president. 6 sites are online, Elena replied, but using them would reveal capabilities we hoped to keep hidden longer. The Russian president's hologram leaned forward. If they mean to subjugate Earth, secrecy becomes irrelevant. I vote we activate all defensive systems. One by one, the council members voiced their agreement. The vote was unanimous. Elena nodded grimly. Then we proceed with Operation Ouroboros. Aboard the Imperial dreadnought Inevitable Conquest, military counselor Drickas watched with satisfaction as her fleet settled into perfect intimidation formation. The massive warships arranged themselves in a three-dimensional pattern that would be visible from Earth's surface, even without telescopes. A constellation of power meant to inspire awe and submission. "Communications officer, prepare the standard ultimatum," she ordered. "Inform the humans they have one planetary rotation to accept Imperial integration before we demonstrate our firepower on their uninhabited moon." "Counselor," the sensor officer interrupted, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the planet." Drickas chittered dismissively. "Expected. They're primitive monitoring systems attempting to analyze our fleet." "No, Counselor. These are active energy patterns, similar to defensive arrays, but the configuration is unlike anything in our database." Drickas moved to the sensor station, mandibles clicking with irritation. "Impossible. Our intelligence indicates they have no planetary defense system." The main view screen shifted to show Earth, now surrounded by faint, pulsing energy fields emanating from multiple points on the surface. "Analysis," Drickas demanded. The science officer's bioluminescence flickered uncertainly. The fields appear to be localized space-time distortions, similar to their experimental wormhole technology, but adapted for defensive purposes. Drickas's outer eyes narrowed. "A bluff. They cannot have weaponized such technology so quickly. Proceed with the ultimatum." Before the communications officer could comply, alarms blared across the command deck. "Multiple small craft launching from Earth," the tactical officer announced. "They're accelerating at—" "That can't be right." "What?" Drickas demanded. "They're accelerating at over 500 G, Counselor. No organic life should survive such forces." Drickas's exoskeleton clicked as she shifted to combat stance. "Unmanned drones, then. Track them carefully but hold fire unless directly threatened. This is still an intimidation operation, not war." The small human vessels, sleek, dark shapes barely visible against the void, arrayed themselves in a defensive formation between Earth and the Accelarian fleet. Despite their small size, sensors indicated unusual energy readings from each craft. "They're hailing us, Counselor," the communications officer reported. "Display," Drickas ordered. The screen changed to show a human female in a dark uniform. Elena Vasquez's expression was calm but resolute. "This is Director Elena Vasquez of Earth's Unified Defense Force. Your fleet has entered sovereign Earth space without permission. State your intentions immediately." Drickas's mandibles clicked in amusement at the human's audacity. "I am Military Counselor Drickas of the Accelarian Empire. Our intentions were made clear during first contact. Your species will be integrated into the Empire. This fleet is here to ensure your compliance." Elena's expression didn't change. "The people of Earth respectfully decline integration. We offer peaceful relations between equals instead." "Equality is earned, human," Drickas replied. "Your species has not yet proven its worth to the galaxy. To demonstrate the consequences of defiance, we will now destroy your moon's southern polar region as a warning." She gestured to cut the transmission and turned to her weapons officer. "Target the Earth moon's uninhabited southern pole. Minimal yield demonstration only." The massive dreadnought's primary weapon array powered up, gathering energies that could reduce mountains to slag. The beam lanced out toward the moon and vanished halfway there. "What happened?" Drickas demanded. The weapons officer's bioluminescence pulsed with confusion. "The energy beam. It was diverted. The humans have some kind of deflection field between us and the moon." "Impossible," Drickas hissed. "Adjust targeting and fire again." Full power this time. The second beam was more powerful than the first, enough energy to create a crater visible from Earth with the naked eye. Again, the beam vanished before reaching its target, absorbed or diverted by invisible forces. The communications screen reactivated. Elena Vasquez appeared again. "As you can see, Counselor, humanity is not defenseless. We've monitored your empire since you first entered our system months ago. We've prepared accordingly. Dricka's outer eyes narrowed dangerously. Your defenses may be more advanced than anticipated, but they cannot withstand the full might of an Imperial fleet. Perhaps, Elena acknowledged. But are you willing to start a war to find out? Especially since you don't yet understand what you're facing. Before Dricka's could respond, proximity alarms blared. Space itself seemed to ripple around the human vessels as small, localized wormholes opened near each of the 57 Solarian ships. They've positioned micro-wormholes throughout our fleet formation, the tactical officer reported, his bioluminescence flashing with panic. Energy readings indicate, Counselor, if these wormholes collapse, the released energy would destroy our entire fleet. For the first time in her long military career, Dricka's felt genuine uncertainty. These humans had not only developed defensive capabilities far beyond their expected technology level, but they'd also created a tactical scenario where her overwhelming force advantage was neutralized. Their primitiveness was a deception, she realized aloud. Elena's expression remained calm. Not deception, Counselor. Evolution. Humans have always adapted quickly when threatened. Your arrival merely accelerated our development timeline. In the Imperial Council chamber, the living crystal dome pulsed with alarming crimson as Military Counselor Dricka's report concluded. Science Counselor Meller's bioluminescence flickered with the Solarian equivalent of vindication, while High Counselor Thraz's mandibles clicked with agitation. So the humans not only rejected our intimidation display but countered with their own, Thraz summarized. And you believe their wormhole weapons were capable of destroying your fleet? Without question. Dricka's replied, her normal confidence subdued. Their space-time manipulation technology is crude but effective. Most concerning is how quickly they deployed it. Commander Vazrik stepped forward. With the Council's permission, I've been working with our xenobiology department to better understand human capabilities. At Thraz's chittered approval, Vazrik activated a holographic display showing human DNA and brain scans. Humans evolved as pursuit predators on a high-gravity, high-radiation world with extreme environmental variation, he explained. Their entire biology is optimized for adaptation and endurance rather than specialized efficiency. The display shifted to show historical footage of human conflicts and disasters. Most critically, they respond to threats by innovating rather than retreating. Where most species avoid danger, humans study it, test it, overcome it. Our intimidation tactics didn't frighten them. They inspired them. Science Counselor Miller's skin rippled with uneasy patterns. This matches our revised analysis. Their technological development accelerated by approximately 200% in the months since first contact. High Counselor Thraz's mandibles clicked rapidly in agitation. Are you suggesting this pre-FTL species presents a genuine threat to the Empire? Not yet, Vazrik replied carefully. But our models project they will surpass our technology within decades if their current acceleration continues. The chamber fell silent as the Council absorbed this unprecedented assessment. There is another factor, Vazrik continued. Humans are pathologically curious. Even now, they're likely studying everything about us, our biology, technology, culture. They don't just want to defend against us. They want to understand us. Military Counselor Dricka's exoskeleton shifted uncomfortably. What are you proposing, Commander? Something the Empire has never done before, Vazrik replied, his bioluminescence pulsing with conviction. I propose we offer humans equal diplomatic status and a mutual non-aggression pact. The crystal dome flashed with shock and outrage from most counselors. Preposterous, Thraz exclaimed. No species has ever been granted equality without centuries of proven loyalty to the Empire. No species has ever forced us to consider it, Vazrik countered. If we attempt subjugation, we will engage in a costly conflict with an unpredictable opponent. If we simply leave them alone, their expansion will eventually bring them into conflict with us anyway. But on their terms, not ours. Science Counselor Miller's patterns shifted to thoughtful blue. There is logic in this approach. By establishing diplomatic relations now, we can study them more effectively while managing their integration into the galactic community. It would undermine 12,000 years of imperial doctrine. Fraz objected. The doctrine exists to serve the Empire, Vasrik replied. If circumstances change, so must doctrine. After hours of heated debate, the Council finally reached a decision. For the first time in its 12-millennium history, the Xilarian Empire would recognize a pre-imperial species as a sovereign equal. 1 year later, Alina Vasquez stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Earth Embassy on the Xilarian capital world. Commander Vasrik stood beside her, both watching as human and Xilarian scientists worked together on a joint research project. Your people adapt remarkably well to our environment, Vasrik observed. Most species require extensive genetic modification to tolerate our atmospheric composition. Alina smiled slightly. As I told you during our first meeting, adaptability is our specialty. Indeed, Vasrik's bioluminescence pulsed with what Alina had learned to recognize as amusement. Though I must admit, the Empire is finding it challenging to adapt to humanity's place in the galaxy. Change is difficult for everyone, Alina acknowledged, but necessary for growth. Below them, a human scientist laughed at something a Xilarian said, the translator converting the alien's chittering into recognizable humor. Nilera predicts that within 5 years, our civilizations will have shared enough technology to make us truly equal partners, Vasrik said. That has never happened in imperial history. Most species take centuries to reach technological parity with us. We had good motivation, Alina replied. Nothing accelerates human innovation like discovering we're not alone in the universe, especially when the neighbors have better toys.